My name is Catarina Buchatskiy, and it is my honor and privilege to be speaking before you today at Stanford's Class of 2024 International Relations Commencement Ceremony, a department I hold dear to my heart and one which has profoundly shaped the person I am today. Last summer, I was home in Kyiv doing a military training alongside some Ukrainian soldiers when one morning, one of them walked in wearing a Stanford t-shirt. I told him I went to school there, and he asked, "Didn't they teach you to do anything better at university than to go to war?" When the full-scale invasion of Ukraine started over 2 years ago, I took a leave of absence from Stanford to help volunteer with the war effort. I didn't know when I would come back from school, and to be honest, I didn't know if I wanted to. On February 24th, in an instant, the theories of international relations that I had spent years meticulously studying felt painfully obsolete in the face of the tragedy that had hit my home country. Realpolitik, or neoliberalism, or the other number of intricate explanations of why the world worked this way were not good enough answers for me as to why war had come to us, and these theories felt like even more painfully inadequate tools in fixing it. Over the last few years of our studies here at Stanford, I'm sure many of you have grappled with what it means to be a student of IR in an environment in which our global institutions and delicately balanced international systems are failing us. Often, when I go home to Ukraine and tell people what I'm studying, they ask me, "Why did you fail?" As a student of international relations and a deeply optimistic person, I came into this field because of my unwavering conviction in the indomitable human spirit and the power that we, as individuals, hold over the seemingly dauntless and unforgiving course of history. And despite it all, I do remain a deeply optimistic person, as I think deep down all of us are. Optimism is our only choice, because a shrug of resignation means acceptance of the status quo, and the status quo is simply unacceptable. A shrug of resignation means relinquishing our agency, conceding defeat in the face of adversity, and abandoning the belief that positive change is not only possible, but imperative. I am not ready to concede this defeat quite yet. When the full-scale invasion began, I was completely paralyzed. I couldn't get up, I couldn't eat, I couldn't tear myself away from the endless minute-by-minute updates of what I thought were going to be my country's final days. My best friend Davina, who's graduating with me here today, stood outside of the door one afternoon while I showered, holding my phone and reading the updates out loud to me so that I could pull myself together for even just a minute. My advisor, Dr. Amy Ziegert, showed up at the doorstep of my dorm with a backpack full of supplies, such as a first aid kit and solar-powered phone chargers, to help me prepare for my trip back to Ukraine, and helped me raise money to protect protective equipment to evacuate our artworks from museums in the line of fire. Professor McFall told me one evening that before he goes to bed every night, he wonders if he's done enough to help Ukraine. When these systems have failed us, individuals have stood up every step of the way. These moments with these people are just some of the reasons why I'm not ready to lose faith just yet, and some of the reasons that I came back to Stanford, and the fact that I promised my parents I would. Happy Father's Day, Dad. These last 2 years have been the most difficult of my life, and I've been given every reason to believe that the forces of evil are mightier than those of good. But I don't. But I do want to make one thing abundantly clear. If I've learned anything about international relations, it's that optimism is absolutely imperative, and that optimism isn't enough. There is no use in simply believing that someday some people are going to make it all better because the world is fundamentally good. No one is coming to save us but ourselves. If you believe in the inevitable victory of good, fight for it. And if you don't, fight for it anyway, because it is a very sad thing to believe we are destined to fail without at least putting up a fight. Professor McFall told me that when he thinks about whether he's done enough each night, almost always the answer is no. And often, too often, we will feel the same. And yet, even when the answer is no, or especially when the answer is no, we have to get up the next morning and do it all over again. Not to chase the day when we can go to bed at night with our consciences clear, but because the price we pay if we stop is higher than we can ever imagine. I don't know where that soldier is that I met at training, but there are so many things I wish I could tell him. Perhaps one thing would be that they did teach me better than to go to war, but war came to me, and when that happens, I was taught better than to bow down and abandon the fight. Can we live in a conflict-free world? I don't know. But to the graduating class of 2024, I ask that you not only remain unwavering in your conviction that light will shine over darkness, but that you will do everything in your power to ensure it. Let us move forward with patience, perseverance, and a determination that peace, a true peace, a peace in which good wins, is worth continuing to fight for, even if we failed before. Slava Ukraini!